I'll just ask you whatever. Then guess it's guess it's going. All right. So first of all, thank you so much for doing this because I've been looking forward to getting into different topics and thanks for reaching out. But so I guess a little introduction is I'm here with Robert Peter, who is a Christian mystic, and that's all I really know so far. So we can get into it, I guess. I was gonna start off by just asking if you just wanted to share your background, your history, I guess, like where you grew up and kind of what led you to where you are today in Christian mysticism and everything.
Yeah, sure. I basically got quite an eclectic background in mysticism in general. I've done quite a lot in chaos magic, quite a lot of deity work. Like with clients, the majority of the stuff I do is deity work, as in channeling deities, teaching people how to connect with deities. As in, like, it's an extremely personalized experience. So no one experience is like ever the same. It's not like, oh, you can go and work with, say, like Aries, and every time you work with Aries is just going to be like a Greek war god. Like it's like, you know what I mean, very sort of the same. Like it's never the same. Because what I found is that, like, they'll work with you, like they'll meet you where you're at, and even when I do like Christian mysticism, it's never the same. Like, you might meet Jesus. Jesus has got a lot to say for everyone. You know what I mean? It's same with saints. Like, obviously saints have their, like, you have like patron saint, whatever it is, like just kind of basic stuff, whatever. But it's never the same. Like they always have a message for you, or whoever it is. So yeah. But yeah, sorry, yeah, I was sort of going into it uh already. But yeah,
No,
so
that's really
there's like
interesting. So do
yeah, so
you,
like deity stuff really. Sorry, up to you. Yeah, sorry.
sorry, no, is that so that's what you do as like a job professionally? You
Yeah,
help people.
yeah. So I do like divinations as well. I can read. I offer magical services, like build servitors for people, like cast custom sigils for people. Just do a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like, I'm kind of all over the place in my practice. Yeah, it's like, if I don't know how to do it, the chances are, like, if someone asks me how to do it, like, then the spirit will be like, "Yo, this is how to do it," and they'll kind of like teach me for that one person how to do something, and then from that, my practice will then grow again. So it's just a never ending journey of like learning and growth, really,
Yeah,
which is pretty
because
good.
every person's a
So
different personality and stuff. That makes sense. So
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
no, sorry. So, but you did the connecting with deities. Is that something you offer in your practice as well? Like you said, you try to help people connect with different deities, or
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So that's what I specialize in. Like, my Instagram handle is at deity specialist on Instagram. So that's what I put forward as like my main thing. Um, so yeah, it's
that's
pretty good.
interesting. Okay, but now, like in your own practice, you said that you work with a lot of the saints in Christianity now. Is that like
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
personal
So
thing, or do you also connect people with those as well?
yeah. Like, so what I find is, like, a lot of people, like, even if they're not into Christianity as such, like, I actually recently uploaded a reel into Instagram which basically said, like, saints and angels aren't, like, you don't have to be Christian, but like they'll work with you anyway. Like, because for me, they saints sort of embody the early teachings of Christianity, whereas, like, they would help people. Like, the word, like, charity apparently didn't exist before Christianity. So, like, Christianity basically created the word charity. And so, like, a lot of the early Christians, like, didn't care whether you were like part of like a different faith or like anything else. Like, they would help you. And if you look at a lot of like the early saint stories, like, they did help people. Like, they're more akin to like the stories of Buddha and the Buddhist monks, where they just kind of walked around from like place to place and just help people. You know what I mean, they accepted the food that was given to them, they accepted the shelter that was given to them, and they just like healed people, cast out demons,
Yeah.
like they weren't always demons. Like just go into this like really quickly. Like I believe that a lot of what people class as demons in people, like demonic possession, is just like lower astral entities or just like gnarly like astral entities that sort of get a hold of people's like negative thought forms and things like that, you know? So like
Yeah.
or parasitic like egregores and stuff like that. So yeah,
That's really
but yeah,
fascinating. So what's
the saints are just
sorry, go ahead. What did you say?
I was going to say the Saints are just great. They're like so versatile, and there's like over like 10,000 saints in like Catholicism alone. That's like excluding the Orthodox saints, the like the Jewish mystics, the Eastern mystics, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's a saint for every problem, and there's like multiple saints for every problem. Like in sort of most people know is like kind of the big I would say well, the big one for most people is like Anthony of Padua. He's like Anthony, like help me find what I've lost and stuff like that, like the lost objects and stuff like that. And then you get like the other ones, which are kind of like the apostles and stuff like that. And then you got like Mary Magdalene, who's seen a massive like boost in popularity lately. Um, but yeah, there's so many saints, it's unreal. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah. So is there what's like are they have you found similarities between the saints and different deities at all? Or
Yeah,
what's I
so
guess the similarities and the differences in working with saints versus deities?
not that much different, to be honest. Like a lot of the old deities or whatever got like syncretized into Christian saints anyway. And that's another point I want to touch on. Like in regards to saint workings, there is so much syncretism. Like if you get into like the Orisha and stuff like that, even like the Greek pantheon or the Hellenistic pantheon, there's like you have like Saint Expedite, who's like a representation of Mercury, like or he can be seen as Mercury or Mars, or like a Mercury Mars like combo wombo. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff.
So who
Like
is did you say that was a certain saint is was that a certain saint you named that
yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah,
representation of Mercury?
yeah. So
That's
yeah, so
interesting.
Saint Expedite, he was basically most people say like he wasn't a real saint, but there's like actual historical evidence to say that he was a real saint. And basically he was yeah, he was a Roman centurion who was a part of something called the Thundering Legions. And the reason why they got the name Thundering Legions was basically like the story, like whether it's real or not, as different things. There's like a lot of lore and background and stuff like that. But apparently, this Roman army was due to fight the Gaul, which are like Germanic tribes, like pagan Germanic tribes, and all of um, Roman the Roman dudes, like the pagans, sat down
Yeah.
to pray to their Roman gods, and then the Thundering Legion went off into another field to pray to a different god. And essentially, when they prayed, like the heavens opened up, and there was like thunder and rain and like a whole bunch of other stuff. Um, yeah. So, and
And
the reason why it wasn't due to that they got the name of Thundering Legions, but it was like in the battle itself, the Gaul attacked the Romans like whilst they were praying. And essentially, what happened because the Christians were in another field, they came round and flanked the Gaul. Like the reason why they're called thundering is because the impact they made. So they hit the Gaul from behind and just like completely slaughtered the Gauls to a man. So
oh, dang. Wow.
yeah, they're hardcore. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
because Saint Expedite, if he's kind of an embodiment of planet Mercury in a way, doesn't that correspond to Hermes? I was actually talking to two of my friends earlier today about
yes, yeah,
Hermes,
yeah,
which is kind of
yes.
interesting.
So yeah, so I have like I have, and I don't know if you've seen like other podcasts and stuff that I've done, but I always like rant on about my relation to mercurial energies. So like I work with like every deity in the mercurial pantheon. So you got like Hermes, Mercury, Ganesha, Papa Legba, Odin. Clothes, yeah, you name it, they're all
Dang.
there. Or I've worked with them like in the past. So yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So I guess, sorry, I got really distracted on that too. I guess going back to that, what is it? So what's this like your background? Like where did you grow up Christian or what was like how did
So I was baptized at a young age, but basically I showed like mediumistic abilities from an extremely young age. Was like always tapping into my spirits, always communicating with spirits. Like when I go on like school trips and stuff, I'd always say to the other students, "Hey, look, oh, can you see that man over there? He looks really cool, like dressed up in his like battle armor and stuff like that. Oh, there must be like a reenactment today because I've seen loads of people walking around in like a chainmail and stuff like that." And then like they would be like, no, there's no enactment today. So yeah, I kind of got labeled as a bit of a freak and stuff at school, and was like always having like premonitions and stuff. Could like communicate telepathically with animals. Um, could heal. Like it was like loads of stuff, man. Could like see people's trauma, and like there was a whole bunch of stuff I could do. So but I never really like knew what it was. Like anyone, I didn't know anyone else that could do what I could do. Like my grandmother has like some clairvoyant had some clairvoyant abilities and like mediumistic abilities, but never really like tapped into it. So like, I'm the only one in my family that's actually kind of taken it to the next level. So, but yeah.
so you just kind of grew up with it your whole life basically with that just
Yeah, essentially, man. Like it was pretty rough. Like I didn't really have anyone to talk to or whatever.
yeah.
I joined like spirit circles and stuff like that. I kind of like did look at Christianity and I did think like, well, Jesus can do all this stuff. Like he's pretty cool. But then when you look into sort of like the Christian persecution of people with abilities and stuff like that, but the Messiah can do all these like crazy things, like crazy miracles and stuff like that. It was just a bit kind of a bit like sort of
Yeah.
disjointed, shall we say. But what was really interesting is like when I found the saints like later on in life, um, they were like, oh wow, so you can do all these like crazy things like telepathy, find location, see into people's hearts, like read people's sins, like know when people are ill and stuff like that. And they just provided for me this like human point of interaction where we can say, well, look, like we have these abilities, the saints have these abilities as well. And it like just makes it so relatable, like especially when you look into such saints as like Saint Augustine, who was like basically an alcoholic, like a bit of a womanizer, you know, and you like you look at like people's journeys and like I know a lot of people that have come into this field, especially like Christian mysticism and stuff, from like drug addiction and from alcohol addiction, like sex addiction and like all different types of addiction, like mental health and stuff like that. And basically like um yeah, they've found kind of their path through that. And I think that saints are really important because they do provide that access level. It's like, look, you don't basically need to be like Jesus, you know, it's fine,
Yeah.
you know. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with my headphones. They're one of them decided to like start dying, so
Sorry,
yeah,
what was that
it's gonna hit
last
some.
what was that last thing you said?
Sorry, my yes, right, my headphone was like dying, so I just
Oh
had to
yeah.
like get it and charge it. So, but
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah,
Saints are awesome. They're really inspiration.
yeah, I was kind of wondering about that too, because the difference between I was wondering if that was kind of might have been one of the things different between deities and saints, is that the saints might be more, I guess, relatable in that sense or something like that. I don't know. But then I was
I mean,
but then there's also the what is that thing? What is like Christ says something in the Gospels like after they're dead in the resurrection, they'll be just like angels or something like that. So then I was like, I don't know that there'd be a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
difference. But
yeah. It's basically like the thing for me is that a lot of deities are obviously like shown as humans, especially like Zeus, like all of the Hellenistic pantheon, they're like and the Egyptian pantheon, like a lot of deities are just shown as humans, right? So like they're given a backstory or a story in order
Yeah.
for us to be able to relate to them. And like, so you have that statue of Hermes, who's like this young, like beautiful man who, like, yeah, but he doesn't always look like that. Like in the mythology, like they're given these human forms so we can understand them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to understand these like primordial forces, essentially, because that's what they are, right? Like
Yeah.
essentially, like when you link into planets and stuff like that, you've also got Hermes, which relates to Mercury, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. It's like, well, how do I understand what a planet is? Okay, been given a human form. This is what it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was in a chat with two of my friends this morning. We were talking about her music specifically. And I was saying that
Yeah.
he corresponds to a planet, which also has like characteristics and personalities and all that. So I feel like that kind of condenses into
Yeah.
that. But it also relates to, metals and alchemy and all that stuff too,
Hmm. Hmm.
which I think, if I'm right, I think that corresponds to the chakras as well, but I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Mercury.
I don't know. Um,
Mercury corresponds to in some things he corresponds to like he corresponds to a lot of them, right? Because things like Mercury is like you have chthonic Hermes or Hermes, right? So you have chthonic Hermes as well. So like you have Hermes that like in regards to epithets, you have like Hermes, which is like Angelos, which is messenger. So that's when he's the messenger between like the divine and us.
yeah.
That's when he's going around delivering messages and communication. Then you have like Chthonic Hermes who works in regards to the underworld. So you have like Hermes who's the Lord of the Crossroads, and then you have Hecate who's like Lady of the Crossroads as well. And they're actually like in a relationship essentially in the myths as well. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool. That's really,
yeah,
man, yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, so I guess
yeah.
the question I would ask is, does all of that, like all your practice with the deities and the saints, is all of that kind of included in what you would call Christian mysticism? Because I'm not quite sure
Yes,
what,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Is that,
so it's really interesting because when I went to Berlin, I had this like really interesting experience. So I was working with Hermes like the entire time, and then I started working with Archangel Michael quite a lot, Saint Michael, but more in the sense of him being a like judge of the dead. So he basically takes on the psychopomp role as well. So he's like often synchronized with like
so what is
syncretized, sorry,
do you say
with
psychopunk? What did you,
psychopomp. Yeah, so basically he's like carrying the souls of the dead to
okay, gotcha.
the afterlife. So yeah,
Okay.
and like the judge of the souls of the dead. So he's syncretized with like Anubis, also Hermes as well, because on the Kabbalistic tree of life, Michael or Michael is the archangel of Hod, was the angel of the planet Hod, which is Mercury. So yeah,
That's,
so he's actually quite mercurial, but he's also the angel in some things of Tippereth as well, which is the sun, so like Jesus and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's really
it, there's
interesting.
there's like a whole bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
like if you want to go, like Michael is in Tippereth, he's like of God. He's still kind of a messenger kind of thing because he still kind of like shows up and does a whole bunch of stuff. Like yeah, it's it's a big rabbit hole, put it that way. You could be there for ages. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds like a thing. Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a lot. There's a lot there. Um, so I guess, yeah, I'll ask this question. I guess my friend was curious about. He said, "How is Christian mysticism different than faith?" Is it? Seems like a hard question. Oh,
I don't think faith is intrinsically tied to Christianity at all. I think when you work with any deity, you still have to have faith that they're going to help you or like what you're doing is going to work. You know, like even in regards to the spell work, a simple candle magic spell, like you can do the spell, you still have to have faith. Like even in chaos magic, there's like faith. Yeah, faith. I think I'm trying to word cleverly, but I can't. It's like if belief there's something that's going to work, like belief is kind of faith, right? It's
mhm,
the
yeah.
same breath. So I do think that there's a lot in Christianity, especially. There's a lot to do with faith, but I think for a lot of Christians that I see or have seen, like a lot of their time spent in the Christian religion is like questioning whether God is real, but praying to him like he's real anyway, or praying to him in the hope that he's real,
Yeah.
when they could have a much better time if they were just like, no, we know God is real, like we know it, like, and then or acting as if he was real. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Mhm.
we don't know if he's real, but we're gonna act as if he's real anyway. And then they'd have a much better time. But rather than being stuck in this like constant limbo or purgatory, excuse the pun, of like not knowing whether God is real, and then like, yeah, like,
It's interesting. I had, gosh, I had another question that it left me. Oh man, dang, I don't know. So it's related to what you were just saying. Man, I don't know why I went away. Oh yeah, I guess I was gonna ask. So when in working with like the different saints or the different deities, is that kind of like I guess what's the utility of that? Is that kind of are they like guides? Is that what you would say? Or I mean, how does that?
um, I think that is, I think you work with like certain deities when you need to. Like, I don't, you you can have saints and deities that kind of stick around, but I think it's really important not to get too attached to them. It's like having like 2K friends on Facebook. Like they're still your friends on Facebook. You can still hit them up on Messenger whenever you want, but
Gotcha.
like they're not always going to be around. You know, it's not like you wake up and like Hermes is always going to be there. Like, well, the saint is always going to be there. You know,
Gotcha. Okay.
um, but they're there if you do want to ask for guidance and stuff like that. So
So can you kind of can in your experience have you been able to call on like you can kind of call on certain ones though when you need them? Like even though they're not always there, you can
yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah,
just hit
yeah,
them
yeah,
up whenever
absolutely.
you want.
Yeah,
What does that look like
yeah, definitely.
exactly? Is
Like,
that like a like what's that practice look like?
so it's quite simple. You can pray to them. Like
Okay.
there's prescriptive prayers to them in any way. Like I think for Saint Expedite, it's like Gloria Saint Expedite, Marta, etc., etc. We give praise to you, that you help us on our journey to being a better person and everything else. Like, please watch
Yeah.
out for us. Please pray for us before the throne of the Almighty, etc. Like praying to them like every day is just like checking in with your friends. So saying, "Hey, how are you? Like, I hope you're good." You know, because it's like you can when you're working with God, um, essentially like you can you can you can talk to God through the saints. You know, like in the end, like every prayer that gets answered is going to be answered by God anyway, but you're asking the same to pray for you. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
the way I see it is like if you were like, oh, I need a new car, right? So you would be like, God, please give me a new car, please. Like, pray to you, I pray to you, please, 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 please. Like, I'll do some charitable stuff. Like, if you get me a new car, right? And but you would pray to a saint because the saint might pray and say, "Hey, look, he missed out this part." You know what I mean? Like he missed out saying this or he missed out saying that. So they know how to pray like more effectively, I would say, and they can constantly pray for you. So like, part of the whole thing of lighting a candle for a saint is that like all the time that flame is burning, fire safety, obviously, in consideration here. Um, the saint is praying before the throne of heaven for you. Um, but yeah, so yeah, like that. So like if you you say a prayer like once in the day before you leave your house, like please protect me from any like accidents, like roadside accidents, whatever you're going into. And that saying is constantly praying before the throne of God, like please keep him safe, please keep safe, and it's like bombarding. It's like a fully automatic like prayer gun, like
Yeah,
firing off
yeah.
these prayers like constantly. So if you, I don't know if you're familiar with like sigils and stuff as well and like chaos magic, but if you kind of look at it like this, that saint is constantly firing sigils for you. Like, yeah, it's just like constantly putting stuff into manifestation for you. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. I was curious, I guess because the reason I asked the question too is because it seems like, well, in talking to I guess different Christians throughout my life and different even like Jewish people, there's like I guess
Yeah,
kind of the I guess I was wondering with like praying through saints, I guess I asked the question why I asked why they might be a guide is because it seems like kind of the end goal of most religions is kind of a unity with God, which I think in the
yeah,
Abrahamic religions also ends up in being like a unity with man as well. That's kind of like almost like a simultaneous thing, because the image of God is
yeah,
in man. So I didn't know if they like in praying to the saints, if they kind of helped direct you along something like that path, or if, or even in
yeah. They
praying
do.
to them, is
Yeah,
that kind of like a
they.
ancestral work too as well that goes along in that?
So yeah, I mean, like for me, it all ties in. Like everything ties in. I mean, like
Yeah,
saints for me, like your ancestors in Christ, right? Or your ancestors in whatever it is. I mean, if you look at Jesus as like the solar god anyway, like he's a sun god, fine. So you're essentially part of the solar cult, which is like everyone that was ever part of that solar cult, they're like a brother or a sister in that solar cult anyway. So it's the same as like when you have like a religion, another religion where you pray to like your ancestors, like the I can't remember like Santiago, the cult of the saints. So like you're praying to the ancestors and stuff in that. Like you're just praying to your help. You're asking practitioners and stuff that came before you. You're asking for your ancestors. You're just asking for everyone that like knows what you're up to like help you out. So it's no different to like writing on a Facebook group like yo, uh, can people do some stuff for me today or whatever? Like they're just not here. They're like corporeal. You know what I mean? They're in spirit now.
yeah.
But yeah, they definitely act as guides. I mean, I've had like a saint before um just pop up and say like, you need to go and do this. And I was like, all right, okay, thank you.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. Like, so yeah, they do pop up. They do help you. They do guide you. It's not always that like you ask help from them. It's not like a one way thing where it's just like I'm gonna go to them. I'm gonna pray to them. I'm gonna get some stuff. Like they're there. They help guide you. Yeah, in order for you
That's really
to
cool.
be the best person you can, I guess. Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same with like Jesus and Mary and stuff like that as well. Like and God Himself. Like it is to guide you back to divinity, but it's also like how do I say this? It's like when I think when you recognize that you are a divine being and you're like I'm not special, like at all. Like just working to the same and just have maybe heightened senses or more heightened senses than other people, which means I can communicate with them like more efficiently. Or I'm aware they're communicating with me. Like we are as divine beings, like that's what we do. Like by praying to a saint, like you're just sending your signal out there. It doesn't like mean that they're not sending it back. You know what I mean? I can just pick up they're sending it back. So yeah, like they're definitely guys. Like they're like ancestors for me, like 2.0. Like I have my like, blood relative ancestors, and then I have like the saints or like the deity. Like they're just a group of friends to me. Like you know what I mean? They're like my holy family. Like they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's cool. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like kind of like a traditional ancestry or something. A holy family is a great way to put it though. Um,
yeah.
what's your craziest like do you have any crazy mystical experiences?
Oh
Or
man.
what's the
Yeah, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like I've seen Baphomet like manifest in front of me before. I've had like yeah, I've had like the room that I was in turns to fire. I'm pretty sure I was in like the lower astral realm. Like the floor turned to fire, the ceiling turned to fire. I was like on my bed, and like the door was just like rattling. That was when I came up against some rather like hairy stuff. Basically, I used to be in music bands and stuff like that, and I had this thing that offered me a deal. It was like, oh, if you give me your soul, I'll make you rich and famous. So I was like, yeah, whatever, man, good. So I turned it down. And it was like really horrendous experience of like my entire life turned upside down for a while because I think it was just like, how dare you? Like you have the audacity to like tell
Sounds
me
terrifying.
that, and then yeah, it was. Yeah, it was terrifying. I've had like full poltergeist activity. We've had a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, yeah, but the coolest one was being shown like the nature of reality by an angel. That was cool.
By
I'm not
Andrew, the
into like
Saint Andrew?
meditation. No, 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 an angel. I
Oh, an
can't say what
angel.
one,
Okay,
but
sorry, sorry.
yeah, I'm not name dropping the angel. But it was like I'll show you like why people shouldn't do certain things because like you end up here, like you end up in the lower astral, or like you end up in the lower mental plane. And what happens when you're there is like it's stuff you just haze pieces. So you're basically like about 20 miles out to sea at that point, surrounded by 1,000 great whites. So yeah, just give up essentially. But I also got shown like the power of prayer and stuff like that as well. And yeah, I actually like with some students that I take on, like I do teach them like the power of prayer and how to effectively use it, especially the rosary as well, which corresponds to a whole bunch of like other magical systems as well. So it just like it goes to show how powerful the rosary is and like praying the mysteries are. Um, it's
Yeah, can you
amazing.
say more about
So
that?
yeah,
Like, why is it so
not
powerful?
too much. It's basically because like I will say this. Obviously, the Bible is a coded book. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff coded in the Bible because it strips it back down to like its basics. Because a lot of the people like in the old days and stuff like that, like even going this whole thing about like, oh, the church tried to cover this up. Yeah, they probably did, but I'm not going to say that like all the reasons they tried to cover it up was for a wrong reason. Like, if you said like praying I don't know, like in the Golden Dawn, right? So you do have the Kabbalistic cross. So the Kabbalistic cross connects you to a whole bunch of planets on the Tree of Life. So it connects you with like Kepha and then Malkuth and then Gibora and then yeah, like you just look into it basically. Um, but yeah, it like links you back in stuff and it grounds you like in those planets and stuff. Um, and then if you take that and kind of apply it to say the rosary, like it's basically like evocation. Like you say a whole bunch of Hail Marys, so you're just evoking a crap load of like Marian energy. Like I'm not gonna say what Marian energy is here because that's secret. But sorry to gatekeep, but it has to happen. Um, so yeah, it invokes a hell of a lot of like Marian energy into your system, and like it's a really, really focused prayer. So it's just like it's essentially doing a spell. Like a rosary is literally a spell, you know, and
Yeah,
you're praying like, over and over and over and over again. So it's just building up all of that energy. Like if you want to start talking in like maybe Wicca terms in regards to like cones of power and stuff like that, you're essentially creating like a massive, massive like power thing. I don't know if you've seen what was it, Dragon Ball Z? With like the Kamehameha thing.
yeah,
It's like literally just like yeah, it's like Goku like doing that like Kame, just holding it for ages. And then it
yeah,
obviously goes into that like little break, that pause break, and then it comes back and then he's still doing it while like
yeah,
Vegeta's like talking to him like Goku, don't do it. But yeah, it's just a massive build up of power, mate, really. So I'd highly recommend it to anyone. Um, the only thing I will say in regards to like Christian mysticism, whatever, is like don't get too stuck in like I am a sin and stuff. Like don't get too caught in the sort of like um yeah, just like the doom side of things, like the really doom side of things, you know.
yeah,
Like I don't think Christ would want that for anyone. It's like, yeah, okay, so Christ, I'm a sinner, I get it, I'm a bad person. What can we do? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
know I'm a bad person or like haven't exactly like been perfect all my life, but this is what I want to do about it. So yeah, I don't always I think it's good to remind yourself that like you have your shortcomings and stuff like that to sort of like check yourself before you wreck yourself, then go into the working. Like I don't
yeah,
think it's like healthy to constantly remind yourself that you're a failure, like every Sunday morning or whatever, you know? It's
yeah.
good for humility. Humility is amazing, like any anything you ever do to keep your head straight. But like overuse of humility is like definitely a bad thing, I think. So
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's I can't remember, a friend of mine, Mitch, he quoted this. I mean, it was a saint said it a long time ago. I can't remember what it was, though. I'm trying to remember the quote, but it was something like it ended, I think it was like, keep your mind in hell and despair not. But it was something like, do not say I am a saint and do not say I'm a sinner or something like that. But it's like you can go too far one or the other. Like I can say I'm too holy or I can say I'm too much of a sinner. Like both of those are from the devil, but say I am I am what I am and God loves me very much or something like that.
yeah,
Something, I don't know. I'll
there's
have
a
to find
saying
the
in
quote. It was really good. I can't remember what it was.
there's a saying in Hebrew which is like Aya Asher Aya, and it's like I am that I am what I am, whatever it is,
Yeah,
basically. And it's just like whatever I am is what I am, but like I'm still going to do the Lord's work. I'm still going to do what I'm supposed to do. So,
yeah. Sweet. That
so
was
yeah,
another question you had for
what
me.
I've what I found like which is really cool is that like I've seen God or spirit or source or whatever it is pick the worst examples of human beings who do the most holy acts. And I've seen like him like shun holy people because they've got their head too far up their own bum because it's like, oh yeah, like they think they're so holy that this task is beneath them. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah,
oh, come on,
yeah, yeah,
almost becomes like a badge of honor. I mean, like, oh, I have like 10 more holy points than you do. Like I lived with Buddhists for a bit, and basically like I I heard the monk say, "Oh yeah, I did this thing today so I could get some good merit." And it's like if you're only doing an act to get some good merit, it's just like, come on, Matt, sharp. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah. I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think yeah. That's like wanting to be the greatest, and he says he was last will be first. You're like, okay, well then I'll try to be last just
yeah,
so I can
yeah,
be first. It's like it doesn't work that way.
yeah,
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 yeah. He does it. God does choose like the lowest, the lowest. But I think that's one thing I mean, one thing that's for me personally, probably one of the biggest things in my theology personally is the aspect of forgiveness. And I still can't think of a more powerful
mm,
like force in the universe. And I think that's like with God, it's often displayed through that, through like the weird reconciliation and redemption of like just the people who have screwed up the worst. Like I think what is
yeah,
the apostle, I think it's the apostle Paul says that like that he considers himself the chief of all sinners, like having gone around and basically murdered people and stuff like that.
yeah.
But yeah, so but there's a question I was gonna ask too though, like you personally, has there been like certain saints that you've just really enjoyed or ones that you enjoy working with the most?
Yeah, Saint Paul, man. I'm gonna jump straight in there. Saint Paul, like he's hardcore.
Who
Like
is it? St. Paul?
the yeah, the thing I love about Saint Paul is that like he's extremely good in regards to like self defense. Like if a whole bunch of people are throwing like a whole bunch of accusations at you, like that aren't true, and you know, like when you feel them like around your head and stuff like that, like you can feel them like outside of your body, and you're like, oh, like you just feel like their oppressive energy. Saint Paul, call on him, bam, they're gone. Just say Saint Paul, like clear me, please, just like get these false accusations away. Like I know they're there. I know like people are thinking this, but they're really oppressive. And it's just like, well, like I was outside one night, like I had an argument with someone who basically like tried to like scam me, and yeah, St. Paul just like showed up out of the blue and was like, boom, like all the oppressive energy was just gone. Like I didn't even have to ask him to do it. Like he
Whoa.
just got rid of it, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can help out with this." And what was really cool about it was like most depictions of Saint Paul, he's got a sword as well. And then in the Bible, like it obviously says about like you should still carry a sword. You know what I mean? Like always arm yourself, like to so you can defend yourself against stuff like that. Like forgiveness is great, but like there's going to be times when you're going to need to defend yourself with a sword. And for me, like Saint Paul is the sword of like defending yourself against stuff like that. He just cuts through the bullcrap like straight away.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really good. And Saint Therese of Lisieux, has got to be like one of the most kindest, like sweetest human beings I've ever had the pleasure of conversing with. She's like one of those people that will just like come into a conversation, drop a one liner, which just leaves everyone just like gasping, like picking their jaws off the floor, and then just drift back into nothingness. Yeah,
Cool.
she's amazing. Saint Patrick is another one. He is extremely jolly. He's just a lovely man. Like he gets a lot of shtick from like the pagans for apparently like going to Ireland and just like clearing out all the people or whatever. And there's like quite a lot of pagans. Like I don't mean to offend any pagans here. Like I practice pagan stuff as well. Like I'm not just a Christian mystic. But like they're like, oh, hey St. Patrick, like you missed one, as in like you missed a witch or something like that. But if you actually read like the book of St. Patrick, it's not all about that. Like it's not the entire story. It's just like one of those like things that people just like latch onto and sort of follow through with. Saint Expedito, once again, he's amazing. When he actually wants to work, he's amazing. Or if he actually sees that your cause is just, he's great. Who else? There's so many. One I've started working with lately is Saint Demetrius of Thessaloniki. He was a martyr, yeah, Christian martyr, you know, the story. And essentially, like, he is extremely protective. Like, if you have any like turbulent times in your life, he's like the patron saint of earthquakes. But what I've found in regards to a lot of the saint stuff is you can apply it like not so obviously, like, you know what I mean? This piece of paper contains earthquakes, you might think, well, if it's like a turbulent time in your life, then you know he might be able to help you out and sort of bring stability. Um, there's one who's like 10 out of 10 for me, like absolutely 10 out of 10. He's Saint Gerard of Mayella or Magella. I think he's from like Spain or something. I can't remember, but basically, like the way you pronounce his name is like Saint Gerard of Mayella or something. So if I was calling Gerard, it's a lot easier. He's like the unofficial patron saint of psychics as well. So he is amazing. Like I had this like really good experience where I got this oil from him, like Saint Gerard oil, which has been touched against the first class relic. And I like put it on my head and I was like, oh, I petition you to increase my psychic abilities. Looked at my hand and like literally saw a physical aura like shooting from my hand about that much. So yeah, like super powerful stuff.
Wow.
Um Saint Michael, obviously, 10 out of 10. I have a whole bunch of these, but I have the stones from oh, you can't really see it. There we go, stones, which is I don't know if you know about it. There was like an emanation of Michael or like a visitation of Michael at this place. I think it's Gorgonza or something. Which is like a check it out. He basically showed up at this like church, which is like built into a rock, and the rocks actually hold like his vibration, if you will. You can get them. Yeah, I had a whole bunch of them, so I was like, these are gonna go. Like, they're not gonna be around forever. So yeah,
Yeah,
tried to get as many as I could. But yeah, since I've had it, it's just like been so good, man. So good.
that's cool.
St. Peter's another one. My middle names are actually Peter and Michael, and then one of my ones is like Anthony. So like you have Anthony of Padua as well. He is like he's ridiculously good, man. He's like so silent, so humble, so loving. But he also gets stuff done. Um, to be honest with you, like there's not really a saint that I wouldn't say is good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
but yeah, it's all just like
how do you get
necessity,
to
really.
how do you get to know them? Do you just kind of read their story, their history, then just kind of like prayer and meditation? You kind of I mean, how do you know their personalities
Uh,
and what they're
you can
good to work with?
do like you can do just talk to them, really. Just talk to them, see what they're all about. Yeah, really. Just like ask them to give you signs in dreams. Um, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. Like you can, if you read their like story, there's a really, really good book called like the Encyclopedia of Saints and Sages by Judica Isles, I think it is. Or Iles, I think it is, but like yeah, there's a whole bunch of saint stories in there. What I find is that when you're reading about them, essentially like they connect with you through that because they're like, oh, you're like reading about us, you know? So
That's
like
cool.
you're interested, and then it'll kind of
Yeah,
pop up from there. But yeah,
that makes sense. That's cool. It's a question that popped in my head. I wasn't really thinking about this, but is there I don't know why I just started thinking about different uh I don't want to say imaginal or fictional characters, but there's kind of that I guess it's a little ambiguous about like King Arthur stories. Have you ever like
yep.
worked with any of them? Like the figures from that,
I've
like
worked
the
with,
different knights or
I've
anything
worked
like that?
with, no, I have a knight who's like an ancestor who I've worked with, from a knight order. I'm not really going to mention. He's like super person,
Yeah.
and for defense reasons, essentially. If you want to know your guys, they can do stuff. But I've worked with like pop spirits, like pop magics, like working with like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, stuff like that. So yeah, like you can work with them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. So you've worked with different, that's really interesting. So what does that look
yeah.
like? Is that
But
just like, because they just,
it's
each
just the
different one
same
has,
way.
it's kind of like a deity or something, sort of in a way.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. So like the way that I kind of say it would work is like it's the whole thing of like if God didn't exist, enough people believe in him, he does exist now. So
Yeah,
it's like we got the Flash, like the Flash obviously represents Mercury, like Superman obviously represents the sun, like the solar god
yeah.
and stuff like that. So you can
Okay.
easily map them out. Like
Yeah, that's what I
it's
was
not
kind of
difficult.
thinking.
Hmm.
Something kind of like a
So you're
deity.
just working with that energy. Yeah, you're just working with that energy through that particular thing. So yeah.
That's a great way of describing it. Yeah, I was getting asked too about because on the phone right before we got on here, we just chatted a tiny bit, but you
Yeah.
said you really like the Gospel of Thomas. So down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So why like what was the reason you were drawn to it? Like what do you find really compelling about it? Stuff like that.
So it's just really good meditating on like the sayings and stuff and working out like what it actually is. Like, and every time you look at it, it's always something different. So like, I would definitely get a notebook if you want to. You will not be able to remember it. Like, it would be really profound. You'll be like tripping out for like 2 or 3 days, and then you just completely forget it. And then, uh, yeah. So if you have a book, it's far better to do it. Um, for me, it just like there was one saying in there that just got me. Like they say to Jesus, like, "Oh, Master, shall we fast? Shall we pray? Shall we do this?" And then he's like, "No." And he's like, basically, what I got from it anyway is if you do not know why you're praying, why you're fasting, why you're doing this action, then don't do it. Because essentially, like, then you're just like doing it as like a routine and you're not doing it with any real meaning. It's like when you're doing a novena to a saint, right? And then you're like, oh, Saint Expedite, please can you do this in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost? You're saying they just like bored. Like you're
Yeah.
just like like reading the same, like parroting the prayers. And it's just like, yeah, yeah. And it just stood out to me that like the main thing in regards to like prayer, like if you're gonna make prayer potent, then mean it. Like it's far better to like do a personal prayer where you mean every single syllable of every single word that you're saying, rather
Yeah.
than just like parroting a Lord's prayer or something like that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
So yeah.
That was cool. So
So
have you
there's a whole
actually
bunch of stuff.
worked with Thomas at all? I
Yeah.
guess
Funnily enough, so I have a yeah, I've worked with him like a bit. Um, especially if I'm kind of going on like a deep dive on working out the mysteries of like Christianity. I try not to read anything in regards to the mysteries of Christianity. I try to just like get it all like organically. And yeah, he makes you go into it. Like I had the thing where I was like, why do people even do the rosary? Like, yeah, I get it works, but what is it? Like, what is it? Like, why do we do this prayer? Like, why do we do that Ave Maria? Like, why do we do the Apostles' Creed? Why do we do this stuff? And it was like, I was so angry. I got so frustrated. Like, why? Why? And then all of a sudden it was just like, boom. And then just stuff like flowing. and it was amazing. But it was like the mere fact that I questioned it, I got given the answers. So like I think the thing about Thomas is that I think if you question stuff, then you get the answers. Like in I can't remember what thing it is, but it's like the Jesus says like to you, who am I or something, and then they say, oh, you are a wonderful teacher, you are our leader, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And then Thomas goes like, teacher, like my mouth is like a ghast or something. I could not possibly describe what you are to us or whatever. And then Jesus like replies to the others and then takes Thomas aside. Um, and then yeah, they start like questioning Thomas, and I think Thomas says like, if I was to tell you that one of the things that Jesus said to me, you would cast stones at me. And then he says like, but then those stones would no, he's like, yeah, you would stone me, and he said, but then those stones would return to you and turn on fire. So basically, he's talking about like, yeah, like basically return to send the spell. Like, they would just like come back and hit them, because yeah, they would do something ignorance or something. So yeah, he's just like one of the most mystic of saints. Like John the Baptist is another one. Like John the Baptist is actually one of my favorite saints. He's like for me, he's on par with Jesus, because he attained like kind of Christ consciousness, if you will, without Christ actually being there. You know, so
yeah,
yeah, he was like the proto Christ. I mean, so
that's cool. That's really cool. I have a So have you, here's another question, I guess. One thing that's always kind of interested me about Thomas as well is that it says a lot of times it'll say Thomas, who is also called the twin in the Gospels.
yeah.
Do you know what that's about? I didn't know if that was some weird reference
Oh,
to.
there is so many things in regards to
Well, give
that.
me
You
some.
go down such a
Let's do it.
oh man, it's just it's one of those things where you can literally dedicate an entire podcast to it. But to me, it's like like the win aspect, like now at least, like my opinion might change in the future, because they have all rights to do that. But it's that he's the only one who actually made himself a match for Jesus, essentially. You know what I mean? He twinned himself to Jesus. So he's like, right, I'm going to emulate you. I'm going to actually emulate you. Hence why the Gospel of Thomas has all the actual sayings of Jesus in it, and the others don't. Or they do, but like they're coded or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
So, and it's really interesting. So the Gospel of Thomas is like the only one that actually teaches you how to pray like properly. Because like how you know what I mean? How many times you go in like church and you're like, um, Hail Mary, for the grace of the Lord is with thee, blah 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 blah. And then they're like praying, 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 but all they're doing is just like repeating the stuff. Like the Gospel of Thomas basically says like you have to like feel it in your heart. Like you have to
yeah,
really feel it in your heart what you want. You know what I mean? And which is really interesting is that when you look at the King James Bible, it's changed. Like they actually take out how to pray. It's just like asking you shall receive, but they don't tell you how to ask. They don't tell you what asking is. You know?
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Such,
really interesting.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I've always been fascinated by Thomas. I don't know why. He's always kind of stood out to me. Yeah, and the fact that he's called the twin, I always thought was kind of curious. I didn't know. I was just always curious in the back of my mind if that had some sort of uh astrological reference to it, and like
Yeah,
the
possibly.
Gemini or something. I didn't know if different things corresponded to different apostles or things like that with the different.
Well, Jesus was in the age of Pisces as well, and there's two fish in Pisces, I think.
What is?
So
Sorry,
if
what
you
was
look
that?
at it, there's like Pisces in the age of
Okay.
Pisces. So
Yeah.
Jesus was born in the age of Pisces. So you've got like John the Baptist was could have been one of the fish, and then Jesus is that fish, and then the other fish that comes along, and then Thomas could have been the other fish once John the Baptist died. So
Uh,
yeah, carry on the
that's
cycle of like transmitting like, information like round and round. So
Sorry, I was looking at this real quick too. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was the other thing you mentioned earlier that I didn't. comment on. You said a lot of people are looking at Mary Magdalene right now that she's really popular or something.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff like whether it's down to like the social kind of shifts towards like even like feminism and stuff like that. There's like a whole bunch of deities have been appropriated for like feminine female power, such as like Kali, Santa Morte, Our Lady of Guadalupe, like a whole bunch of stuff basically. Um, and Mary Magdalene has been kind of adopted by like maybe the New Age movement in some places as this like female character empowerment or whatever. But for me, she stands out as like I don't know, it's just she's amazing. Like she for me she's different to the other gospels, sorry, apostles. Mainly because she was rejected by the majority of them. Like when I say that, I mean like pretty much all of them.
Yeah,
And I think she was the closest to it. I mean, like you could get into a whole bunch of stuff as in like saying was she the the partner of Jesus essentially? And there's a whole bunch of stuff in mixing like tantra teachings and stuff into Christianity. And there's the whole thing of like, did they engage in like the sacred union? Obviously, like when people get married now, like on your wedding night, you engage. You know what I mean? And were they in a sacred marriage? You know what I mean? Did they practice like sort of not erotic magic, but like
yeah,
but basically like divine union, essentially. Um, and like more Eastern mysticism in regards to that. So yeah, like basically like Christian Tantra. So
never even heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing. That's wild.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's basically like sex magic, essentially. Like
It's
there's
basically
the whole
sex
thing of like
magic. Is that what you said?
yeah, basically
Yeah.
like when you yeah, so when like there's the whole thing of like divine union, like when you engage with a partner and stuff, and you're
Yeah.
like there's the whole thing in the Gospel of Thomas where it says like when the one become two, then the two will become one
I
again,
do remember that.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like yeah, when the male becomes the fit, when the male
Yeah.
becomes the female, then the male will become the female will become male, and then they'll become
Yeah.
one. So it's essentially, if you think about it, like male, female
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. I
and then
was
they become one whole.
I do remember reading that part because I remember reading it in the back of my head. I was like, oh, I bet a bunch of people I know might have a problem with this verse right now. But yeah, it was really interesting and
But it's
fascinating
also
part of
it's
that
also
scripture.
yeah, it also is linked to like the right side and left side of the brain, so like the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So like when you put a thought
Yeah,
from the conscious mind into the unconscious mind, then
yeah,
it allows it to manifest because essentially sigil magic anyway. So yeah,
that's
there's a
really cool.
whole bunch of stuff you could like
Yeah, yeah,
really delve into it.
yeah. I've been really interested in Mary Magdalene as a figure as well. I used to say I had to stop saying it as much because I feel like it was just kind of not really taken how I meant it. But I would just be like, I'd be reading the Gospels and I'd be like, they're all the same Mary. Like Mary, the Virgin Mary, is also Mary Magdalene because you just see this weird thread going through
Yeah,
them. I guess in the weird form of um, I don't know if I'd call it the divine feminine, but uh, it's also a weird pattern of like the entire story of Israel kind of being or even just God's creation in general being kind of the feminine aspect of God, I guess, in the way that plays. You can kind of almost see that even through Mary and Mary Magdalene, where Mary is the mother Mary is a virgin, and then Mary Magdalene. I know that's controversial, but like if you combine all the gospel stories, there's like Mary
yeah,
Magdalene, then there's some other lady that they say she's basically a harlot and stuff. I don't know if it's Mary
yeah.
Magdalene or not, but then basically she
There's
comes back.
Mary Mary of Egypt as well. I think he was like
Oh yeah,
essentially a harlot. She got
yeah,
purified and became a saint and stuff like that. But there's this thing, so there's like you have like Joachim and Anna or Anne, Saint Anne, who basically prayed for a child. They got Mother Mary. She then gave like had an immaculate birth of Christ, and in Christ then obviously linked up with Mary Magdalene. So there's this like massive continuation of like immaculate conception. She then becomes like purified, then there's Christ and Mary Magdalene, and then like it's complete speculation, but it's like Mary Magdalene then had an immaculate conception again, and then who would become after that, which is kind of unwritten. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of stuff in regards to like the tree of life and stuff like that. So you have like Boaz and I can't remember
Ruth,
what
right?
uh, no, Boaz is like the pillar, the
Oh, okay.
severity, and
Oh,
then you have
yeah,
mercy and the tree of
Joachim.
life. And then for like yeah, Joachim. Yeah, it's basically yeah, I think yeah, it's the same basically thing. So like you have the two pillars and then you have like Mary Joseph again. So like there's the thing that's present as in like the kind of like ish. And then it flips back to like Jesus, which is the J, and then Mary again. So there's like J is like always a J, and then there's always like in the other one.
Oh,
It's
that's
really like
interesting.
it's a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
so
I mean,
it's
it's
like
really.
yeah, it's like JA and then JM and then like JM again. Like there's a whole, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird, man. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that's why I mean that's why I love the scriptures. It's just so fascinating. They just continue to just open up and incredibly mystical. But
I
yeah,
mean, even if like for me, like even if the Bible is like completely allegorical, right? It's
uh,
one hell of a story. You know what
it
I mean?
really
Like it's one
is. Yeah.
hell of a coded.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I was gonna ask about Mary Magdalene. Have you heard of Harry Mary? Have you ever heard that? It was some icon I stumbled across on, and you should look into it. It's really fascinating. I didn't even know how I stumbled into it. I was talking, it was probably a year ago. I was talking to a friend of mine about Mary Magdalene because she said she went into a Greek Orthodox church. I was just like looking at all the things, and I think one of them she saw was like Mary Magdalene, who I think she said had blonde hair in this icon. And so
Yeah.
I think that's how I was trying to look it up. I was Googling, like just images of this, Mary Magdalene with blonde hair. And it came up and it's basically Mary Magdalene, but her whole body is just covered in hair. And there's different icons about that, but it's really cool. I think it was something like she went out into the wilderness to pray after I think after Christ ascended or something. And then she was out there so long that her clothes became so ragged and fell off of her. And so God, in order to keep her modesty covered, he like caused her to grow hair all over her body. But it's really cool. You should check it out. It's fun. You should do some work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll
Oh,
check it out definitely. Definitely.
so let's see. What was I gonna ask? I don't know. Oh, do you have any like well, I mean, you already named quite a few Bible characters, but that was one thing I wrote down. If you had a favorite character from the Bible or a favorite Bible story, anything like that. Is there a certain story you like from the
Um,
scriptures?
I think I don't know if it really counts, but I guess it does. But I think the mysteries, like from the mysteries that you pray in the rosary are insanely powerful.
Yeah.
Um, and I think actually, yeah, the characters from the Bible, Joseph, Jesus is like stepdad, easy, hands down, like
Why did you say
without
that?
doubt. Um,
That's such
because
an
he's just like
interesting
the
choice.
silent protector the whole way through. He's just like silent protector that just
Yeah.
has to like completely trust God's word. Like he probably did talk, right? But he doesn't really say anything the whole way through. And it's just
Yeah.
like when they give him birth to Jesus, like in the stable, which has probably got like every like disease going. You know what I mean? There's like loads
Yeah.
of animals in there, like loads of mud. There's probably a lot of like feces and stuff like that. And they're birthing a baby in there. And it's just like I've just got this vision of like Mary like freaking out, right? She's like giving birth to a baby in a barn. Oh my God, like he's gonna get like him, what if he gets diseases? Like I know like God said he's like the son of God and stuff like that, whatever, but what if? And it's almost like Joseph is like just looking, it's like, look, just look at me. It's
Yeah.
good. Like just look at me, we can get through this. And it's that like silent power. It's just
That's cool.
it's so powerful. But then
Yeah.
like for me as well, like I didn't like I never really like connected to Mary, like properly. And then I done some work with Our Lady of Sorrows, and it changed my life.
Really?
Essentially, like
Dang.
working with Our Lady of Sorrows, like yeah, like every bit of grief I ever held on to in my entire life was gone. Like I sat there and cried for like ages, ages and
Wow.
ages and ages, just like screaming. Yeah, because it was like when you go through her pain, like you look at your own pain, she look at your own struggles, and that you're like, they're nothing. Like she literally saw her son like birth. She got told that she was going to give birth as like a maiden child. Then went to the prophecy of like Simeon and stuff like that, and he said like he's going to pierce your heart. And then like was there, and she was the only one that ran up like while Jesus was at the bottom of the cross, and
Oh
like
wow.
she just sat there and felt all of that pain,
Yeah.
but like took it. And like
Yeah.
part of me thinks that the Bible like isn't about the story of Jesus, it's about the story of Mary and like that, like trusting in God's plan and following it through to the end, and no matter how much sorrow, no matter how much pain you have,
Yeah.
like knowing at the end of it, like you're gonna get like the good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it's basically like that. It sums up for me like Romans 8:18, and it's like I can't remember it off my heart, but it's like something about our present sufferings do not compare to the glory that await us or something. And like I think that the entire Bible just can be summed up with that one verse. So
Wow. Dang. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, it's mad. Like I've got a scarab like tattooed on my solar plexus. Scarab obviously represents like the journey through the dawn and then like carrying the sun up to the surface. And yeah, for me it's like 8:18 like all the time. Like Romans 8:18, it's just like so powerful. There's another couple like in the Bible as well. You got like Isaiah 55:11, which I love. Like I don't know if you're familiar with that particular verse at all.
What is it? So can you repeat that last thing?
I Isaiah 55:11. Are you familiar with it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like so shall I send my word forth from my mouth.
Oh,
That it shall go and
now
do
return to me
that
void.
which I set out to do. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
It's
one.
like so key for prayer. Like it's so good for prayer because you have to remember like that when you're sending this out, it is gonna do the work to do.
It's not going to return
So
void. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's powerful. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, especially if you mean it too. Yeah, I was interested you chose Joseph because I guess I've heard like even I mean, sorry to go back to that too. It was just something that was running through my head. I heard like the stables back then or whatever were oftentimes just caves, where they would keep
yeah,
yeah. And so like the story, the gospel begins with Mary and Joseph, and then it ends with another Mary and Joseph. Because I think like when they go to put Christ's body in the tomb, it's Joseph, another Joseph that basically has
yeah, yeah,
a cave for the body to be put in. And then you have Mary Magdalene or, Mary outside, in that,
yeah.
I
The
guess,
miracle
weeping
is
and
man. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
it's
you
fascinating.
have Mary, Mary, Martha is like one of my other favorite characters in the Bible. Another favorite saint of mine. I love her so much. So you have Martha, Mary, and then Mary, which is his mom as
Yeah,
well. So,
that's cool. So I was gonna ask too, so like your parents, because on the phone you said did you already get baptized or are you gonna get baptized Greek
so I
Orthodox?
was baptized Protestant, but I'm going to get baptized Orthodox.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So were your parents Orthodox as well? You grew up Orthodox?
No, no,
Okay.
no. They were like they were like baptized Christian, but like a lot of people in the UK are baptized Christian. That's kind of like a thing you just do. Just get
Yeah,
baptized and you get it. So they're not
yeah.
really religious. Like I'm the only like religious not in my family. So yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
So,
That's cool. I'm trying to get a little more of your backstory too. I know you said you had like a lot of mystical experiences growing up and it was really hard for you. Um, did you ever know what to do with those? Like, because you said that, you could even see people's trauma and stuff. You just kind of bottled it up
yeah,
until later in life.
yeah, basically. Yeah,
Hey, that's
essentially,
right.
yeah. Then I have like I went to like some spirits like stuff like that. It was very sort of
Yeah.
just evidential mediumship. Like I'm not gonna bash it, but I'm not really gonna praise it either. It's just like all evidential mediumship, and can you tell someone about their past? And sort of like, yeah. And it wasn't really great. You know what I mean? It didn't really like scratch the itch that I had because like the stuff that I was experiencing was like screw it. Yeah, it was way more deep and way more profound than like just the evidential mediumship kind of vibe. And
Yeah.
like I went to some like spiritual churches and stuff, and it was just like, I've got your nan here, and she's showing me some flowers and stuff like that. And like I literally spoke to an angel, and like you guys are just like talking about stuff. Like I couldn't understand why people weren't talking about this stuff more. I was like,
Mhm.
what? And it was really weird that when I like started looking into like Catholicism and like Orthodox and stuff like that, like talking about saints and praying to saints and like talking to emanations of saints and like angels and stuff was like common practice. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I talk to saints all the time. And it was just like normalized. And I was like, wow. So like people were telling me that like Christians demonize like if you talk to angels and if you do a bunch of stuff like that. And I was just like, no, don't. Like the Protestants might, but the Catholics don't. Like, they love it. Like, or the Orthodox love it even more. So like, it's great.
Yeah.
And what I found was that like, yeah, like when I went on Dara's podcast, I said about this like a bit. But it was like Catholicism is like a massive magic system to me. It's got like candle magic, mantras, prayers, like an entire like pantheon of deities in regards to saints. Like
Yeah.
it's got like holy days. It's got everything, man. It's got everything you could ever want in a magical system. But you don't
Yeah.
need to go and work on it. Oh, and it's got a book. Plus, you've got like Psalms, like the book of Psalms as well. It's like you've got like entire like angelic like evocations to like all the stuff, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that's so how long have you been when did you start coming in back into all of that and I guess into
so
the
it was
into
like so it was around like 2000 and 2019. Yeah, so basically like I had this reading with this person and they were like, yo, God's getting like up in your face. I was like, "Okay, I know I need to. But like I was practicing like angel magic and stuff as well anyway, and it was like naturally moving to all that. But the thing is, like, had I known that like working with saints and stuff existed, it was like I would have done it years ago, and I would
yeah.
have never looked back because it's just yeah. But I don't regret my path, but I just like wish it would have been a bit quicker, so I have more time with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
So
what's more compelling about working with saints over working with the angel magic and stuff like that?
I think well, like it was angel magic anyway. It's just like essentially like it's syncretized with saints, isn't it? Like it's synchronistic, like. You can work with saints, as in like Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel, Saint Raphael, Saint whatever. Like it's not different, you know. You can
Yeah.
work with both. Um, but I just like working with both, to be honest. Like Angel for the heavy hitter stuff, and then Saints for the other stuff.
Yeah. You just found the
Yeah.
saint. Another question. I don't and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. What's the tattoos on your knuckles? Are those like runes or
They're
what are
runes, so
yeah.
Germanic runes. Yeah. So basically, like with me, like Mercury is like Mercury and your god. Like it was like in the beginning was a word. Like language is so important. Especially when you start working with like Kabbalistic magic and stuff, like names of God, like yeah, you can do loads with the name of God, like as in Moses, like when Moses said like the 72 letter name of God and the 42 letter name of God, they're like a magical system within themselves. So yeah, like I don't think that runic language is that much different to Hebrew. It's just different way of
So what like I'm
putting
just
it. Like,
really I'm really unfamiliar with runes. Like I know I like them when I see them, but I
yeah,
don't even really know what they are. It's just kind of
you
like
have
ancient
you have
symbols, right?
yeah, it's basically like an ancient language. So like you've got like the whole thing of like both the Egyptian god gave. language to the world and magic to the world and everything else. And then who's a mercurial deity. And then you have Odin or Woden or Wotan in the Norse pantheon, who gave stuff to the world, like language to the world, who was also a mercurial deity. So yeah, it's essentially like every mercurial deity gives language.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow, that's
yeah,
dang. But yeah, that's really interesting. Man, I've been thinking about that for a
yeah,
while.
and
That's cool.
magic and writing stuff like that. And then when you look into prayers and stuff like that, like it makes prayers like even more important because it's like what you're actually writing. You know what I mean? Like the way the prayer is worded will show essentially like what it is that you're trying to like manifest or bring into the world.
Yeah.
I actually really implore you to work with like the 72 letter name of God. You can see it in like a spiral and just sit there and meditate on the spiral and see what happens.
And wait, what is that again?
You can have like it's the 72 letter name of God. So it's to do with like Moses and stuff like that. Apparently, when Moses parted the Red Sea, he uttered the 72 letter name of God, which
Uh,
caused the Red Sea to part.
and it's presented in a spout. That's really interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that for sure.
And then, yeah, and then you have like the 70 angels of the name. So like from the 72 letter name of God, um, you can get the 72 angels of the Shem Ham Mephorash, which are like, yeah, and then you have like the 42 letter name of God, and then yeah, all those like loads of stuff. So
Dang, I don't know how
yeah,
you
it's
know
pretty
all
good.
this stuff, how you keep track of it, all this and all the saints. That's just, gosh, it's a lot, man.
It's pretty cool knowledge. Like
Yeah.
it's just like yeah, it's pretty good.
Dang. So I was gonna ask, maybe we can wrap this up in a little bit, I guess, but do you have any like favorite books or you have a favorite book you read?
Uh, I'm not really sure to be honest. Um, in regards to like working with saints, it's definitely like the encyclopedia. But it's not the head. That's it. The encyclopedia of the saints they do. It's amazing. Uh,
I think the audio's cutting out now.
yeah, no, it was my
Oh,
headphone.
gotcha.
Yeah, so the Encyclopedia of the Saints and Saviors by Judica Isles, I think it is. That's a really good book. There's not really that many books I can really think of, to be honest.
Yeah. What about
Um,
movies? Do you got a favorite
yeah,
movie?
Kingdom of Heaven, definitely. I love
Really?
Kingdom of Heaven.
Nice. I need to watch that again.
Yeah, such a good film.
Dang.
Yeah, I love that film. Um, yeah, that's great. Apart from that, the Book of Eli, I love. I think the Book of Eli is amazing. Um, that's kind of it, really. Like,
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's some good choices. Those are good. Yeah. Um,
yeah, that's what I can really think of. Oh,
what else?
I like is it Gods of Egypt, like the Exodus one?
I
With
haven't seen that.
oh,
The
it's really
newer
good.
one, right?
Yeah,
With
it's really
Gerard
good.
Butler? Was it with Gerard
Yeah.
Butler?
No, 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 no. Oh no, no, not that one. No, 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 not that
What
one.
is that?
It's the one. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's got Christian Bale in, and he played Moses.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I've seen some of that. I think it's and God's a Little Child in that one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. I actually enjoyed that a lot too. I also really liked the Noah
yeah. It's really good.
film with Russell Crowe. I thought that was
Yeah,
great.
that's not too bad.
Yeah, that one was a lot
Yeah,
of
it's not
fun.
too bad. I
Most
haven't actually seen Passion of the Christ.
that's
Um,
it. You haven't seen it?
no.
Oh man, that's rough. I mean, I'd like it. I thought it was a great film. It's just Mel Gibson. It's intense. He just the gore. It just gotta buckle
Yeah,
up, man. It's but there is a scene with Mary that you'll know it when you see it. But I mean, every time I see it, I just start crying. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good film. I'd recommend that one. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't actually like The Chosen. I think The Chosen is pretty bad.
have you seen that?
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't really like it. Um, yeah, I can't really think of many others to be honest.
It's hit or miss with me on
Oh,
the
I like
Chosen.
what's the thing? There's like Blood of Olympus, I think it's called, which is like it's like a cartoon of the Greek gods. It's
Really?
really good.
Is it an older
It's really
film?
good. It's like an anime kind of thing. No, 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 it's on Netflix. Just like
Oh,
like Blood of Olympus or something.
yeah, I'll
I
have to
think it's
check that
called that. I
out.
can't remember.
I love
Yeah.
the
So,
Greek stories. I've often like wondered, I'm like, why haven't they made more films with like the Jason and the Argonaut story is just like that's like a you get all the Greek gods together and they go on a mission. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't know why they
yeah.
haven't made
You
that into a film.
know, you know the original Jason and the Argonauts film, like the original old one, where they're like, there's like I'll check it out. There's basically like a bit in it where the monster like attacks them in a bay or something. I've actually been to the bay where that was filmed and like
No
swum there.
way.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Dang, man, sweet. Well, Um, I have, I don't know, I can, these are, so like I have this list here. I've been to India a few times and the kids there
Yeah, sure.
ask these, like, I don't have to ask you all of them. They're just like kind of fun questions. They were questions they asked me, so I wrote them down. And sometimes I ask people them, but they're just mostly like, what's your favorite this or that? But, so I guess I could ask
Yeah,
you,
sure.
what's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color?
Purple probably.
What is it?
Purple
Oh, purple. Nice. Nice. Good one. Let me see here. Was what was your favorite subject in school?
history definitely.
Nice. That's a good one. What's your favorite animal?
Oh man, probably dog. I definitely say yeah, dogs. Dogs are cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good choice. It's
or
hard not to
wolves.
pick it's hard not to pick dogs. What's your favorite season?
Um, autumn probably.
And I guess I'll ask you this last one. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Uh, Saint.
Not, dude, that's a good choice. Man.
Yeah,
Um,
why not?
so then I had two, wait, no, one more question my friend wanted me to ask. It was NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. So like
Neither manufactured pop.
you gotta
Straight.
pick one. What?
I pick. Okay, am I
Christina or
picking
Brittany?
what one? Am I picking what one disbands first? If I pick what one disbands first, then I'll do it.
What is it? The
Or what
what
one
for?
do I want to disband? What boy
Oh,
band did disband the most?
yeah.
So
What's so wait,
both.
I guess kind of on that thread though, do you have a favorite like what kind of music do you listen to or like what bands do you like?
So mostly metal, but I'll shout out a band whilst we're on here. They're called Holy Name. They are the old members of Sleeping Giant, which is like a metalcore band. Check out Holy Name, man. They have an album, I believe, and it's basically like they call it like violent worship, and it's basically like yes, it's basically Christian metal. But they've got a song called Creed, and it's basically the Apostles' Creed. But
That's
like, it's
good.
not screaming. Yeah, so good,
Dang,
man. Check it out.
that's
You'll
cool.
love it.
Yeah, also, yeah, definitely have to check that out. I agree. I mean, I used to go to like I don't know if it wasn't necessarily metal. I guess it'd be hardcore shows, stuff like that. It would have like screaming, some singing, but there was some Christian metal bands that I remember seeing, and it was intense stuff. It was very intense.
What one? What bands did you see?
As Cities Burn was one of them. I still listen to their
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Their
yeah,
first album, I love their first album. I remember Norma Jean. I think I went to one of their concerts
yeah.
once, and they
Normal Gene are great.
eventually I think they became the Chariot. Is what they started playing as afterwards, or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Normal Gene's still going. So yeah,
Oh, really? Nice. Cool. That's yeah, and I like Me Without You too, but I don't classify them as metal. I don't think, but they're pretty
no, they're
fun.
quite like more
Yeah.
emo. So it's like,
Yeah. Never.
There's a song. There's a song by Norma Jean called like "I the Planet," and the lyric in it, one of the lyrics is like, "What you're feeling is the loneliness of God," and it's just like so powerful.
Dang.
So yeah,
That's yeah. I'll have to check that out. It's a holy name. Yeah, I'll definitely have to dig that up.
yeah.
All right, man. Well,
Sleeping Giant are pretty good as
Sleeping
well.
Giant.
So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Do you have
They've
any?
they've, sorry,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
no. There's like yeah, they got a couple of good albums. Like Finished People's pretty good. I can't remember the song. Death Now, I think it's called. It's got like a quote. This guy's like, uh, in the ancient days of battle or something, whatever it is, it's like something called like the Death Knell Sea Wire, and it was basically like a noise or something they used to make like from the time of like David or whatever. You know, it's just really good. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I love the. I just freaking love the lyrics like that style of music. There's just it's so good. And oftentimes people, I guess it just
yeah,
gets overlooked because even sometimes, they're just like screaming the lyrics. And so you can't really understand them unless you go
yeah.
look it up. But then you look it
Oh,
up and you're just like,
holy,
man, this is amazing. Yeah,
yeah, holy name has a song called Celestial, and it's like I think the opening lyrics to it is like, "As in the garden, now in our hearts" or something. And yeah, it's like because like celestial beings bow down before the throne, terrestrial beings bow down before the throne as well. It's like, yeah, it's pretty mad.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's intense. I love that style of music too. It's fun.
yeah,
Well,
pretty good.
I guess I was gonna ask you if you have, I mean, you can feel free to ask me any questions if you have any, or I mean, we can end it here. Did you
Yeah,
have
sure,
any?
man. Not really in particular. They're just like I was going to ask you if you had any experiences with the Saints, really. What your favorite saint is, so, if you hadn't.
No, not really. Not that I can think of. I mean, I've had different times throughout, I guess what you would call my spiritual journey or something where I've felt closer, maybe more drawn to different saints, even to maybe more different. Like earlier when we were talking about Hermes with my friends, I said if there's one angel, I'd be kind of maybe more interested and drawn to it be Gabriel. And I've always been so I like been drawn to different biblical figures. I've always liked Solomon ever since I was like a child.
Yeah,
I still am more interested in Solomon. He's probably the most intriguing figure to me in the Bible. I think even more so than Jesus,
yeah,
which is maybe it's because you're supposed to say Jesus, I guess, when you pick one, but I'm like Solomon. I
no,
like Solomon, but I've never like done any actual like work or necessarily prayers with them. I do pray the rosary now. Last year, I think it was last year, or maybe it was like
mm-hmm.
the year before. I don't know. My friend Cal is a good friend of mine. He just got baptized in the Catholic Church recently, but he taught me how to pray the rosary, and so and all the mysteries, and so I prayed those. That was just a huge help to me last year because last year I was working two jobs, and so I was just being so busy. It's like I just can do that. I would do that while I was working, just go around the rosary, pray it under my breath and stuff. And so it's just yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. And like I said, I've been drawn a
You
little
get
bit to
any?
Mary Magdalene, and then when I found out about Harry Mary, I was like, this is super interesting. I really want to dig into this a little
Very
more. But
Mary.
yeah, but yeah.
Hilarious. Did you ever like pray the rosary to get results? Like pray the rosary to get something?
No, I haven't. I don't. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think or not. If I have, it hasn't been with like that direct intention. I guess necessarily. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know. What? Tell me about that though. What is that?
You can pray the rosary to like essentially get stuff. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
To get like
So
material
like
things
you,
or like
yeah,
yeah, really? No, I haven't tried this.
it's the same
Like how
like
big
when
of
you do
things
like
are
a
we talking
novena
here?
or whatever, really.
Just
Like, yeah,
dang, no, I
whatever you
haven't.
need. Yeah.
Whatever you need or whatever you want.
Well, I mean, I don't think God's gonna give you like every week. I don't know, maybe. Like you can always ask, right? That's the beauty of
Yeah.
it. Like you just ask, if you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. If you're not, you're not. Like that's what I think is like a really interesting point. Like there's like a guilt, there's like always like Catholic guilt kind of thing where like you're like, oh, I didn't deserve this, or why am I praying for this? Like loads of other people deserve it more than me. It's like, well, for me, it's like if you're gonna carry on spreading God's word, then you're gonna need to get stuff like you need to eat, you need to like drink, you need a house above your head, like
Yeah.
you know, so, like God should provide that stuff.
Mm.
So like carry on.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's
Is
like
there,
I do. Sorry.
oh, I was gonna ask, so when you're praying in that way, do you pray the mysteries or you just pray the Hail Marys
Yeah,
around the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
rosary?
But I teach people how to like I do a course on it, like a one-on-one course and stuff. I teach them like how to like what the prayers actually are, so, like what Lord's Prayer actually is, what the Hail Mary actually is, what the Apostles' Creed actually is, and like how to like magically and stuff as well. So yeah, it's really good,
That's really interesting.
really good.
So so how do people like how me including, how would someone like get involved in that? Because you said you teach a class.
I'm telling you that.
Is
Yeah, it's I basically do a lot of it one on one because a lot of it like in that course, if you are like or in that like thing, I teach it over like basically the course of a day or like a couple of hours or whatever. You can do like as much or as little as you want like in that session. Um, and then
that a one-on-one session or like or you set up a
yeah,
group
yeah, yeah, yeah.
meeting?
By
Oh, okay.
video, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
like there's a lot more into it than that. So like I'm channeling like stuff, and then like saints will come in and they'll say, "Oh, like well, you could work with me with this," and then like pray a rosary, and then I'll come in and help you as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then like about like offering rosaries, so like saints and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
So is the
like
best way to
praying alongside
contact
saints.
you your Instagram? Is that what you said? Because I heard you say at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning
which
of
is
the thing.
like
Okay.
at deity specialist. Yeah, I've had it like had this really good experience. I was playing a chaplet to St. Michael, and I was like on call with a client, and stopped. Like I was doing the Hail Marys, so I was like whispering it, whatever. So I was just doing like a lot of Hail Marys. So and I heard these people like praying next to me. I looked around and there was like nuns like on their knees, like praying next to me. And I was like, whoa, yeah. So
That's cool. That's really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love the praying the rosary, man. Like I said, that's been a lifesaver for me last year. And that was the other should got it on somebody here. My friend Kyle who taught me well, he sent me my first rosary. He also sent me this miraculous medal. So
oh nice.
praying that to the O Mary conceived without sin, pray for us every course of the I just pray that over and over and over sometimes. And that's also it's been great.
Mm.
But yeah, I've never thought
Yeah,
about doing it with more
I
of
used to be brown scapular.
sorry, what were you saying?
I used to be brown scapular for a bit as well. The brown scapular of Our Lady of Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Sorry,
Do you
I
know it?
don't no, I don't think
Scapula,
so.
the scapula is like a brown scapula. It takes the place like I think you replace it with a medal eventually, and you
Oh.
can wear it. It's like exorcists wear them.
Oh, okay.
And like apparently like when demons like one of the first things demons try and do is like rip it off the exorcist because they hate it so much.
That's sweet. Nice.
Yes.
Cool, man. Well, I guess I can let you go here. I don't know. Unless you have more
Yeah,
questions,
no
I
problem,
can
man. That's all good.
um
Yeah, the thing I was going to say as well is like a lot of the services I provide, like it's not just deity services, it's like talking to saints. Like if you want to find out what saint wants to work with you, how to work with that saint, and like a whole bunch of stuff you can do, obviously, where you're at in the spiritual journey, so with Christ and like other stuff like that. Like, yeah, I provide like basically like direct like comms. So,
yeah, so how much do you charge for all that, by the way? Like when people come to you
so with
to find that out?
with the deity stuff. like because it's like pretty specialized. It's like £55 for like half hour, but that's if I'm doing deity stuff. If it's like other stuff, then it's like £45. I'm not sure what that works out at in regards to like USD. But for like the complete like rosary course, it's like £75. So I think it's like 90 USD or something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, it basically just go on for like as long as you need to, essentially.
that's
Um,
cool.
but yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
super
pretty good.
interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I would be interested in that. I don't know, just figuring out, yeah, I guess because I guess you just help people figure out which ones they have connections with. Is that kind of
Well, thanks.
different saints and deities that they would have
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
connection with?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Essentially, yeah, yeah.
that's
So,
cool.
so the deity
Yeah.
stuff is like, in regards to like the deity stuff, which is £55. Basically, like I give you ways to like evoke the deity yourself. So, like after that one session, like you have like a direct way of connecting to that deity, like
Oh wow,
multiple different ways to connect with it, not just like an evocation thing, but like yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff.
that's
So
cool.
it's really
That's
powerful, bro. So yeah,
yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
that's really cool. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I can let you go here. I'll if you want to like shoot me a I guess just an email with your Instagram link or something, I can put all that in here when I
Yeah, sure.
upload this or
I
whatever.
can have you got Instagram anyway?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I do.
if you message me on Instagram on Discord, then I'll follow you and then you can find me
Okay.
that
All
way.
right, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. All right. All right, cool, man. Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I'll stop the recording here. Let me see how do I do this. Stop recording.